A Day in the Life of Tintin, 2050. Today is June 15 of 2050. Every morning, Snowball will wake me up at 8 a.m. At 9 a.m., I receive a commission from Mr. J to go to Sydney to investigate a place called Passenger Inn. In 2050, there's no car on the street. People take personal rapid transit for short trips within the city. Once we arrive at the station, we will take Hyperloop to Sydney. The Hyperloop is designed for domestic long-distance travel. It is even faster than the airplane. Shoo shoo, new message, Mr. Tintin. Mr. J told me to investigate Anastasia Sen. She's the pastor of Passenger Inn. He also sent me some relevant files. Some postcard from Anastasia to Lou. I think Mr. J made some notes on the postcard. Here is the Anastasia CV and Anastasia's religious manifesto. I don't understand why she mentions cybernetics for so many times. Relevant timeline from 2021 to 2050. Fluffy Company Butcher. Fluffy Company organized meetings between local government, community, and NGOs. They try to promote the community autonomy. We arrive in Sydney at 12 p.m. My stomach told me that I'm starving, so I went to the algae cafe. The algae steak is very delicious. At 1:40 p.m., we are heading to attend the Floating Tour 2050. Hi everybody, it is Anastasia here. We are grateful to introduce our Passenger Inn to newcomers. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Anastasia Sen. I'm a Christian pastor in Hillsong Church. Also, I'm working in energy industry. So in my segments, you can hear interesting facts about the renewable energy. This is the map of today's journey. We will board floating church and head to Passenger Inn. It is driven by magnet induction. Before we arrive at Passenger Inn, let me introduce what happened in these years. From 2021 to 2050, the sea level has risen by 3 meters. Glebe is at the risk of being submerged, so the government has implemented the Sky Housing Project. They built decks and foundations underneath the buildings. These retractable structures solve the crisis. At the same time, some Pacific Ocean islands and Southeast Asia countries are almost flooded due to the climate change. Thus, the UN assigned the refugee to the developed countries. Sydney is experiencing an energy crisis as its population grows. Glebe experienced a massive power outage in 2027. The government began to develop a nuclear power, but the nuclear leak occurred. Angry people began to oppose the government's development of nuclear energy. Government decided to build tide and wind energy plants and supporting the Starlink project. In 2032, satellite chain for the Starlink is complete. It collects solar energy in the universe. In 2035, the solar energy becomes the main source of energy. However, in 2037, some satellite crashes to the Earth's surface. The government cooperated with Fluffy Company to build green memorials for this crash. The cooperation also included the Coastal Sustainable Development. The development includes churches, base house, and green infrastructure. The Fluffy Company will also build water birth center and floating rehab center to ensure that they have money for the public projects. The operational brief was inspired by Mandala. It symbolized the process of reincarnation of life and death. This is the plan of 2050. Time flies. This is Passenger Inn. Now we arrive at the shared sanctuary. Glebe's residents come from all over the world and they have different religions. We study the rituals of different religions and design the shared sanctuary. People walk into the water as a symbol of exploration into inner self. People who are immersed in a religious atmosphere will fall into obsessive ecstasy at the early stage. After the ecstasy, they are in the space of fertility. In here, you have to think independently. Practicing alone is one way, but it has its limitation. People need to rely on the boats to cross the river, but when we get to the shore, we don't have to walk with the boat on our backs. After the stage of practicing alone, we need to return to the reality. The practitioner considers their action as good and the action of others as evil. The war between worldliness and divinity will be waged in your heart. But is this war exist, or it's created or defined by ourselves? How to book rooms of this community church. First, open your visual desktop and download Partner Inn. Then, click on Book a Room button. Choose the time and pastor, and done. Now we arrive at the Fairyland Base House. In 2020s, sleep is a deadly space. What's more, the government is selling off public housing. Low-income residents march to protest. In 2050, the government decided to improve the public facility in Glebe. One of these projects is the base house. The design of the base house is based on cleaning rituals around the world. The designers summarized worldwide cleaning rituals into 4 steps: taking shower, enjoy public pool, sauna, and massage. Then translated the rituals into spaces. The process of massage is complex, so we program them and use mechanical arms to complete them. Here is our Fairyland Public Base House. Now we arrive at the Acclimation Center. Acclimation is the process for the disposal of human and pet remains using light and heat. It is one of the most environmental friendly ways to dispose bodies. The government decided to build an acclimation center and green memorial to commemorate the satellite crash. This image shows the concept of design. The first space is the hall in the community sanctuary. People will hold the funeral in here. Then the coffin is transported by AUV to the acclimation center. The process of acclimation will be complete in this lab. You can take remains from the acclimation, or you can choose to grow a lovely plant here as a living grave. Now, let me show you the holographic section of these spaces. Painting. After introducing the main spaces in Passing Inn, Anastasia also takes us to visit the Waterbird Center and Rehabilitation Center. I will let you to have a quick glance of these 2 spaces. The Waterbird Center consists of 3 parts: the medical checkup rooms, waiting rooms, and birth room. The Rehab Center aims to help the celebrity to complete their detoxification process in private. In this space, private space transforms into the public space. You are respected and receive excellent service here, but you are not allowed to have any privacy here. By the way, the doctor and nurse in the rehab center are mermaids. Now it's free time, you can go around and explore Glebe. Remember to come back here on time. Thank you and hope you enjoy the journey. After having a dinner, it is 6 p.m. now. Overall, the trip was amazing, but I think something is missing. People in the base house and church seems to have a very heated political discussion. I remember they mentioned Project CyberSync and distributed network for many times. I need more information to understand what happened here. Let's go to the library. In 2050, there's no book on the shelf. Library is the place for the brain-machine communication. Hi honey, would you please help me to find information for Anastasia Sen? Sure, Mr. Ting. The data center finds 3 documents for me. The first one is the discussion pages published by Anastasia in 2021 on Fandom Forum. At that time, she is a fan of Evangelion and published her finding about the city systems of Tokyo III. I find something in 2050 has been already constructed in her mind. Finally, I saw this. This is the political structure that Anastasia wants to apply in GLEEP 2050. The second one is her personal experience generated by AI. It shows that she wants to break down the information barrier established by the government and their companies. The third file is the letter sent to Liu. Anastasia claimed her intention to establish a distributed democratic framework to promote community autonomy. The machine also finds information for Project CyberSync for me. Project CyberSync was aimed at constructing a distributed decision support system. The prototype of this system is human body. Anastasia educates people about energy in the church and invites scholars to discuss current policy in the base house so that people could understand what happened around them. Fluffy Company provides a platform for communication between local NGO, governments, and communities. The Fluffy Foundation was established as the data center for the community. People can find more information to participate into the process of policy making. At 10 p.m. in Himalayan Sanctuary Bar, Mr. J showed up and asked me about the investigation. And I told him everything. He became silent and seemed to be thinking about how to deal with the Project CyberSync. I feel really bad. Maybe I ruined Anastasia's dream. Then Snowball suggested me to do something. I dialed a holographic call to the time department at 11 p.m. and suggest them to keep an eye on Mr. J's action. What a tough day. Hope God be with you, Anastasia, and your lovely passing in. Thank you.